Um, I wrote this when Australia joined the so-called Coalition of the Willing, and I think America or someone was bombing the libraries in Baghdad, and I think I kind of remembered somewhere that that's where the first books were written. A bend in the Euphrates. My poems are never directly about the actual, they're not didactic or political in that sense, in an overt sense. They're more, well, I'll just read it. A bend in the Euphrates. In a dream on a sheet of paper I saw a pencil drawing of lovers. They seemed perfect, Adam and Eve possibly, stepping into reality. I read the lines of a poem on a piece of crumpled rag I kept trying to smooth. Egyptian linen, so fine, it puzzled to imagine such a delicate loom. In a flash I saw two dirty-breasted ibis and heard their heads swish. Black bills swiped the cloudy stream. And in the rushes I heard needles stitching, weaving features into the landscape, checking as they shaped an orange tree, then switched a beat to invent blue-black feathers for crows, the pointed wedges of their beaks. A fox rustles through the wild lantana as I step into the garden and, becoming part of the weave, notice the tide turn, its weight eroding mud banks, bringing filth in from the ocean. A raft of flotsam breaks away, a duckling perched on the thicket of its hump. I use the murky river for my ink, draw bearings on a piece of cloth, sketch a pair of cattle egrets bullying the teal into flight. The map's folded away. I travel by heart now. The old lessons are useless. I shelter from bad weather in an oyster farmer's shack. The moon falls in a column of light, a glowing epicycle. This pale, wandering spot on my writing table. These fragments of regret. And the poem that goes with that. Well, then you get that's the kind of, I had a dream actually of that. That was really more or less like the dream. But these ones are taken from television reporting. There was one where a reporter was standing in the desert saying, George Bush has just instructed the enemy to hold up white flags and stand 20 metres away from the tanks, promising if they do, they will be spared. And I thought, great. That's when those crack Iraqi forces all ran away, which is great, really. They threw their guns away. They didn't wave white flags. But I thought about that image of them waving a white flag in front of an American tank bearing down on them. And this poem came out of that. The flag-tailed bird of paradise. Thought to be extinct, they are appearing through the red mist, their white tails waving at blunt helicopters, splattering the earth. These creatures from paradise play dead when attacked. They freeze, clamped to a branch, the tiny flags on their tails barely shimmering in the broken sunlight. They once lived in jungles on islands in the Pacific, but haven't been found dead there since 1958. Some escaped to Arabia, sold to collectors and bred in captivity. They were taken up by zoos, kept in palaces and inbred. Flunkies fed them and sultans hovered about them, marvelling at how they became extraordinary in their deformities. Their cream-coloured plumage shot through with pale, beautiful rainbows. Their eyes enormous, pink, and their flag tails heavy, almost too heavy to hold up, but not theirs to withhold. I'll read a couple of newer ones. I'm reading these from, this is from my new book, which has just been published in England. So I'll read a couple relatively newer ones. I met Pat Dodson, the Aboriginal elder, in the Opera House. I think we were. He just won a medal for peace, and I was talking about the Hawkesbury River, and he knew I was a fisherman, and I said a few things about fishing which he seemed to like. Then he came up to me and said, "Look, I've travelled I didn't ask any question. He said, "I've travelled all around this country to every single town, every city, and not once in 65 years have I ever been afraid." And I thought, oh. He said, "I've camped in parks and gutters and in penthouses, but I've never been afraid." And then he just walked away. And I kept thinking about whatever that meant. And but I went back, and because he was interested in the people, the Aboriginal people that lived on the Hawkesbury River where I live now. So I thought about that. And I thought, it'll be a night poem. In winter night, though I call across the water, no sound rings out. Rivers' escarpments, spines of sandstone books, written in a cryptic alphabet, shaped from the movement of twigs in the trees. When I step away from myself, I speak in the voices of night birds, move out from my body into the air above the tide, and hover between the river and the night sky. Whose voice comes out of my mouth? Never mine when I enter this bay, where I mimic the voice of waterfowl, a voice used by the river people before my grandfather's wooden hull and stroking oars, and my motor and fiberglass, whose voice returns in a wood duck's throat, some avenging hunter who shakes the page of ownership and says, "We belong." Written on rock, the old songs, watched as the cliffs crumbled away. The music that rose up from the earth was the shredded voices of crows, whatever they were called. They walked differently, with other ways of crying. We came and polished the surface of the river and holystoned the rock as if it was a deck, chained feathers to breastplates, filled wings with lice-killing powder, and watched the diamond fire-tailed finches in clouds waiting for the seed-eaters to enter their long extinctions, with our nets and our guns on our shoulders. How are we going for time? Okay. 2 more minutes. All right. Thinking of Eurydice at midnight. Orpheus and Eurydice. My Siamese cat has left a brown snake, its back broken, on my desk. The underground throbs outside my window. The black highway of the river is crinkled by a light westerly blowing down. I want to give praise to the coming winter, but problems of belief flare and buckle under the lumpy syntax. The unelected president's on the radio again, laying waste to the world. Faith, that old lie. I drag up impossible meanings and double divisions of love and betrayal, light and dark. Where on earth am I after all these years? A possum eats crusts on the veranda, standing up on its hind legs. My weaknesses can't be measured. My head contains thousands of images, slimy mackerel splashing about in the murk. My failures slip through fingers pointed at the best night of my life. This one. Cold mist falls. My head floats in a stream of thinking. Eurydice. Did I fumble? Maybe I was meant to be the moon's reflection and sing darkness like the nightjar. Why wouldn't I infest this place where the sun shines on the settlers and their heirs, and these heirlooms I weave from their blonde silk.